Hello and welcome. My guest today has a bit of a problem. He's created a computer at a blockbuster price. For less than $200 you get a laptop that's Wi-Fi enabled, can be recharged by solar power, has a high resolution screen and able to withstand being dropped up to 5 feet. Sounds perfect, right? Well, the trouble is, in order to be a success, it needs a huge global market. Well, that might just be possible through a new program called Give One, Get One. From November the 12th for 2 weeks, every time someone in the USA or Canada is willing to pay around $400 for a green machine, as it's called, one will be donated to a needy child in another country. It's a novel idea that's starting to pick up steam. Nicholas Negroponte, founder of the One Laptop Per Child project, unveiled his low-cost computer at the World Summit on Information Society held in Tunis in 2005. Although it was initially ridiculed, supporters now say it could become one of the largest laptop players in the United States. Of course, what do you think of this approach to the digital divide? Don't forget, we take your questions and comments. Just contact the numbers at the bottom of your screen. Well, Nicholas Negroponte joins us now from Boston. Good to have you with us, sir.
Happy to be here.
I've got to start off by asking you where this idea first came from. You'd announced it in 2005. What made you think of, in the first place, one laptop per child?
Well, the idea actually goes back, I'm embarrassed to say, almost 40 years, where we've been working with children and learning. And in the 1990s, we were very interested in connecting children around the world, particularly the most remote and poorest children. And it was in early 2000, because of some work I had done in Cambodia, that I really sort of made a commitment to work on the one piece that I felt industry wouldn't do, and that was a very low-cost laptop.
And of course, you've put essentially what was a very high-profile career at MIT, very much on hold, sort of thing, to pursue this with quite a passion.
Well, my career at MIT helped a great deal because I knew most of the people in industry, and MIT, being the birthplace of the idea, added a great deal of credibility of it. And perhaps more important than anything, we made a decision 2.5 years ago to be a non-profit organization, so that the moral purpose for doing this was very clear, and that's what attracted a lot of partners in a lot of countries. Now
we look at the details of the laptop, but I think as you've pointed out a number of times, it's not so much the issue that it's a sort of low-cost laptop so much. It's not about the laptop so much as it is about getting the laptop out to children.
It's very much about children and leveraging children. Children are really good at learning and teaching, and in some cases we forget how good they are. And when people ask me, how are we going to teach the teachers to teach the children to use a laptop, I wonder what planet they're on. Because every adult that I know, if they want help using their laptop or cell phone, they ask a child. Children are almost genetically capable of doing this. So the point now is to take that skill and let them learn and play with information and work in school and out of school. So the key is children learning.
I think one of the key things is probably children are less scared about breaking them, and especially as you've designed something that's very user-friendly for our children, it probably helps a lot as well. I'll get on to details in a moment, but I do have to put a couple of things to you, and I know you've been asked a number of times about how something such as a computer can be justified when developing countries have issues of food and water and so on. And I'll put 2 email questions we got to you, Professor. Now, one came from Amr Shalabi in Egypt, who says, what do you expect from this initiative? It seems that the truly poor, who live day by day, have much bigger concerns than technology. What will a laptop do for them? And the second email is pretty much on the same lines, if I could put this, from Cologne in Germany. Carlos Para Bosenberg says, we all know that life's quality comes when basic needs are fulfilled. So what do African, Latin American or India's poor children do with a computer when they don't have enough, or have either a dish of food or an education or a simple glass of fresh and clean water?
Well, both of those questions would not even be asked if you substituted the word education for laptop. So when you look at it as a laptop project and we're giving a child a laptop, like a gadget, like a cell phone, like a Game Boy, then yes, the priorities are perhaps totally wrong. But if you think of it as a school in a box, a way for a child who doesn't even come close to being able to go to school because there isn't a school, or maybe in some cases where the teachers aren't as qualified maybe as you would like, and you're really thirsty, we provide water. This is, in fact, an inoculation against ignorance. This is not a laptop. And so I think it's a primary need. And the cost, yes, $100 is high, but spread that over 5 years. Understand that we can connect children for less than 10 cents per month to the internet, and that you have a connected laptop. And if that is an education vehicle, which I believe it is, then you are addressing a primary need even when there isn't a school, even when it's so primitive that maybe somebody's teaching under a tree. This is really the solution to get very immediate results, leveraging the children themselves.
Interesting question we had, and I guess it comes from some of the concerns in the West that children spend so much time in front of computers. But this one that came in from Vancouver in Canada, from Carlos Ediloni, says, I think children need food, shelter, and a safe, stable social community around them. I think machinery like computers are unnecessary and can be unhealthy for children, tending to make them insular.
Well, this is a pretty standard point of view, and I think what it ignores is the fact that children who are online are in fact more engaged, and offline are more interested and interesting. There is, yes, case with games where a child may play too much of a game, and that's partly because the software that is otherwise available is pretty boring. So I think one has to look at this, first of all, as part of a whole life, and it's not just, you know, a computer addiction, but also I've never heard anybody whose child plays the piano 10 hours a day complain. A child shouldn't do anything 10 hours a day. The description of being a child is to do lots of things. But what we want is that for the waking hours of a child to have something like this where the child can seamlessly use it for music, for reading books, for playing games, for interacting, most importantly actually, for interacting with other children and other people around the world.
Now tell me, Professor, about the laptop itself. What's been put in, what's been left out, and the logic behind it. Let's get our viewers who don't know about it informed.
Well, very quickly, there are two ways to make an inexpensive laptop. You can take cheap components, cheap design, cheap labor, and make a cheap laptop. We chose a different route. We take very large scale integration, very large numbers, very high tech, and eventually very advanced manufacturing where you pour chemicals in one end and out come iPods or something. And we've tried to take something that was really cool design. Kids would want it. I can throw this across the room and it would survive. And what we tried to do, since we had the rare opportunity of doing it from the beginning, in other words, from bottom up, we didn't have to cost down something, is to build something that had features your laptop doesn't have. First of all, it's very child-friendly. Amongst other things, it converts into a games machine. So you can use it as a games machine, you can use it as an electronic book. It's very important, for example, to be able to use it out in the sunlight as well as at night in your house or anywhere under a tree. And so it works in the sunlight, is perfectly clear in the sunlight as well as at nighttime, and try using your cell phone in the sunlight. The other thing that it does is it does a lot of video and audio, and perhaps more important than any of its features, it's very low power, which means you can hand crank it. I don't have the crank here with me, but this can be run in a place that has no electricity. That's absolutely critical. You can't do that with other laptops. And last but not least is that these little ears that kind of look cute and people sort of smile when they go up are really very good antenna, so that if there are 30 or 40 laptops in a region, in a village, neighboring villages, they can all talk to each other. So all you have to do is connect one child, and if there are other 1,000 kids nearby, they're all connected. And that's very important because you could drop a satellite dish into one remote place, and then the kids themselves make the network to connect all the other kids.
So is it a huge...
that just doesn't
Yeah, the huge jumps of leapfrogging the sort of infrastructure issues that they face in remote areas. But, you know, interesting, Professor, we had an email question that came from Doha in Qatar, and Nira Butt says, The teacher-child relationship can and will benefit. With sufficient self-confidence, teachers can learn from children without risk of unraveling the fabric of education, and quite the contrary, by improving it. And I wonder, I understand you when you put out the laptops, you're putting them out preloaded with educational software and also in different languages, or languages relevant to the regions to which they're going.
Yes. Well, several things. Let me talk about the child sort of teacher relationship. Many people worry about it, say, well, the teacher is in control and really would lose that control. Well, I know many parents who ask their children for help and then tell me that the parent-child relationship actually benefits. It doesn't deteriorate. There is an esteem that the child gets and a pleasure the parent gets, and we hope that that transfers one-to-one to teacher, student, and that when we go into a village, you work with the teachers first to give, as the person who asked the question said so rightly, self-confidence, enough self-confidence to let the children teach them. In terms of the second part of your question, we're going to launch with 9 different keyboards for Arabic, Urdu, I mean, you go on and on. We even have a keyboard, which to my understanding didn't have a standard before we launched it, for Ethiopia. So Americ has a keyboard, and there's an Americ word processor, an Americ, interface for the laptop. So we will go as local and do as many local languages, and the reason we can do that is the open source community is an extraordinary resource. So we will make it as local as humanly possible all around the world.
We've got a call on the line from Paris. Anwar is joining us. Anwar, what would you like to ask?
Thank you, Riz. I'd like to ask Professor Negroponte. He has got a project for children, to educate children by these new kind of laptops. How about their mothers? We believe that intelligent mother, good mother, can raise their children very good ways. So,
okay.
Mr. Negroponte has any project in future to educated mothers,
okay.
then they can raise their children in a better way?
Anwar, okay.
We have done quite a few pilot projects around the world, and one of the fundamental principles, and we actually require governments who want to deal with us to promise that the child will own the laptop so that the child can take it home. And the reason we do that, amongst others, there are many reasons, but probably the most important is the influence it has on the family. And in Costa Rica, for example, when we started doing that and running experiments, we found that the mothers and fathers and grandparents all became very engaged. Now, we don't have a particular program to bring it to mothers, but we have in our program built in and deeply rooted that the children bring it home. In fact, if you have 3 kids at home, you'll have 3 laptops. And so it becomes very much something that is integrated in the family. And we believe in cases that we can, if we can get this to not just be for the child, but the child starts teaching the parents and the mother, you will see an enormous impact.
Professor, tell me about the Give One, Get One program. I know it's been, as we pointed out at the beginning, there was a bit of skepticism about the project when you first started. It's obviously gained a great deal of momentum. Tell me how the Give One, Get One program will work and how it might boost your plans.
Well, Give One, Get One is if you will, almost an internet approach to distribution, namely get the people to fund other people. And we were hesitant because we thought maybe the way to do it is to get a few big countries to place big orders, to get big numbers, to get scale and get the prices to go down. And it's not that that approach has failed. There are big countries deliberating with big orders, and in fact, just today, Uruguay announced 1 laptop per child. Uruguay's not a big country, but it was a formal announcement. Peru's about to announce. But these things weren't happening fast enough, and I was impatient, the manufacturer is impatient, so we said, let's turn to the people. And let's get the people of the United States and Canada at least, and maybe we'll expand it to the whole world, but let's get the people to buy one and give one. So the Give One, Get One program is a way that Americans, as you said in the beginning on November 12th, can buy one of these laptops for $399, which is less than any laptop is on the market at the moment, get a really cool laptop, but most importantly, be giving a laptop to a child in Africa or Asia or South America. And just when we announced it last week, in one day, we got 50,000 responses. Now, the program hasn't started. All people are doing are giving us the email addresses, and we alert them when it's done. But it has been so heartwarming, and I think that we will see this as a way to trigger. You don't need much snow to start an avalanche, and once this triggers it, then we think the bigger countries and other countries will follow. And also people will copy it, which is great. It doesn't have to be our laptop. You're welcome to copy this. Our purpose is to get laptops in the hands of kids in any way we can.
Now, I'm not sure we're going to have time to squeeze it in, but let's see if we can get a quick comment from London. Emery Anderson's been on the line. Very quick, because we have about 30 seconds.
Oh, boy. I was going to ask him about the impact of Web 2.0 and whether or not this thing's going to have a browser capable of supporting some of the powerful and very free services that are available entirely inside the browser.
All right. Quick answer, please, Professor.
The quick answer is yes, in spades. It's a Mozilla browser, and it will do absolutely everything.
Professor Negroponte, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for being with us. I'll be away next week, but my friend and colleague Anna Naidu is sitting in for me. He'll be speaking with Canadian-Iranian beauty queen Nazanin Afshinjam about her campaign to stop child executions in Iran. Don't forget, if you have any thoughts about that or pressing issues around the world, send your emails to riz@aljazeera.net. We'll see you next time. Street Talk is next.
Da.